opportunity and the honor of addressing you. I'm more grateful for it because I'm a foreigner. I'm from Tennessee. I will give you my bona fides. I have, since 1968, been studying the monetary system and the monetary question. I've spent probably, in addition to that, probably 1,000 or 1,200 hours studying monetary law. And I've been in the gold and silver business as a broker of physical gold and silver since 1980. So I have some experience in the matters that I'm going to talk to you about. But what I would like to do, actually, is to present you with an exhibit that I recently acquired that sums up in itself the whole history of monetary practice and the whole of monetary theory. It is a 50 million Zimbabwean dollar note from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. And as I said, that sums up everything that can be known about monetary science, both past, present, and future. But I would like to talk to you about the past, the present, and the future. There is a recurring theme throughout history, and that is that inflation comes upon a nation and destroys it. It destroys the poor, it destroys the middle class, and the result is normally a dictatorship. And that happens so frequently through history that we would be foolish to ignore it. The Roman Empire fell by inflation. In the United States, the reason that we have Article 1, Section 10 is because the Continental Congress created a currency called the Continental. I have an example of it there. It ruined the middle class. And the reason that we got the United States Constitution was because George Washington called the Potomac Convention, because after the war, a flood of paper money from all the different states, plus the flood of paper money from the Continental Congress, had created a complete depression across the country. Commerce had come to an end. And so we got Article 1, Section 10, which prevented any state from making anything but gold or silver, tender payment of debt. The next experience was the French Revolutionary experience with the assignat. I've got one of those bills here. Pass it around. The assignat destroyed France so much that after the first issue in 1792, it was completely destroyed by, it was completely worthless by 1796. They issued another currency, the mandat, and in 1798, they got Napoleon. The next experience we had in the United States, of course, was in the war between the states. You're familiar with these bills. These are Confederate bills. Both the Confederate government and the United States government at the beginning of the war decided to finance the war by inflation. The inflation rate was roughly the same. Those who lost, of course, lost everything. It was another lesson. The next salient lesson came in Germany. Now, I would like to remind you that we're told over and over that hyperinflation cannot happen in the United States because we have the most scientific monetary system, we have the strongest economy, and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1914, the strongest economy in the world was the German economy, certainly the strongest economy in Europe, and their banking system was so scientific that before the Federal Reserve was created in 1913 and 1907, the United States Congress sent a commission to study the German banking system. This was the largest note in that system. It's a 1,000-mark note, and the value of it would have been about $230 in gold. The German government decided to finance the war by inflation, and so by the end of the war, the CPI had risen to about 800% of the pre-war CPI, which means prices had gone up about 8 times. This is a copy of a bill, a 1,000-mark bill, issued in 1922. From 1923 to from 1921 to 1923, a severe hyperinflation overtook Germany. The 1,000-mark notes quickly had to be replaced by other notes. This is a 50,000-mark note. Notice the notes get bigger. This is a 100,000-mark note. This is a $20,000 mark, 20,000-mark note, which had to be printed on smaller paper because they were running too many paper mills. This is a $1,000,000-mark note. Oops, they start coming faster. $5 million-mark note. Finally, a $1 billion-mark note. Now, at the end of the hyperinflation, oh, wait, there were more. $500 million-mark note. Finally, they took 1,000-mark notes and overprinted them $1 billion in red. And at the end of the whole mess, the Rentenmark replaced the Reichsmark at a rate of 1 trillion to 1. In other words, the inflation rate got so bad that it took 4.23 trillion marks to buy a dollar at the end of the inflation, whereas before the inflation, it had taken 4.23 gold marks by 1 US dollar. There was another inflation in Hungary about the same time, and then in China that brought the Red Chinese, the Communist Chinese to power. There was an inflation, the worst ever in Hungary. This is a note, this is a 1 sextillion note, and it is the largest note ever issued, the largest denomination note ever issued. Now, that is the past. What about?
And we are running short on those slides that you have done if you could wrap.
That is the past. Let me tell you about the present. In a nation with a $14 trillion gross domestic product and a $14.7 trillion M3 money supply, we have added in the last month, the Federal Reserve and the federal government have added in the last month bailouts to the monetary system, 8.5 trillion in bailouts, $2 trillion budget deficit, $1.25 trillion last year, another $1.2 trillion yesterday. That's $12.3 trillion. Ladies and gentlemen, inflation is not a rise in prices, it is an increase in the money supply. And the money supply in this country has been nearly doubled in the last 12 months. Now, what is the future? The men who run the Fed today are not the same men who ran it, who had the experience of the Great Depression and knew that they were dealing with primal forces of nature. They're trying to fix the economy and they're breaking the monetary system.
We're going to need to bring this to conclusion. We are running over.
All right, sir. The end of the paper money system is at hand. You will pass a bill like this sometime in the next 10 years. But you can make Georgia a leader today and save your state from chaos and build a lasting and stable economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. We do have a couple questions, but I'm going to hold because we have gone well past our half-time mark here at this time.